Kim Barrett, Dan Bernal, George Blumenthal,
Here.
Maria Bonneville,
Present.
Joyce Sacchi,
Present.
thank you, Anne Marie DeLiege, Elena Flowers,
Present.
Judy Gasson,
Here.
Vito Imbassiani,
Here.
Steve Julesgaard,
Present.
Pat Levitt,
Here.
Linda Malkus,
Here.
and Adriana Padillo. Great, that's 9 present, and that is a quorum, Judy.
Thank you very much, Scott. And we're going to go a little bit out of order first thing this morning with item number 5, consideration of proposed amendment to increase contract amount for the Rancho Bioscience contract.
It's not me. A resident talk about it.
I don't have any, is there any documents to present? Sorry.
There's a memo. Do you want me to introduce the memo?
Yeah, if you don't mind, Rosa.
Yes. So thank you, Chairman of the Chair. Thank you, Dr. Gasson. We had agreed with Rafael that he would be presenting this, but basically, Rafael and I have submitted a memo to the Governance Subcommittee as part of our strategic initiative to enhance our data infrastructure capabilities. We have been working collaboratively with Rancho Biosciences to build and expand our data sharing and management systems. And we presented a memo for the Governance Subcommittee to seek your consideration for the approval of an increased budget to accommodate an expansion in the scope of our ongoing contract with Rancho Biosciences. We had an initial contract with Rancho that was allocated for data infrastructure project that was $200,000. This funding has been pivotal in establishing a foundational, like the foundational elements, such as the data sharing and management plan templates, data sharing guidelines, and the initial phase of the metadata dashboard that will allow us to have the data from our funded awards reachable and findable and accessible and interoperable. So we have identified some further needs. The CERM team has identified further needs. We would like to extend the initial phases of deployment with some additional tasks. One of them is to integrate CERM-funded legacy data on this metadata dashboard. The objective could be to integrate, for example, the Comprehensive Genomics Initiative data into the metadata dashboard to enhance the utility by making such historical data that we funded accessible. Right now, nobody knows what it, well, some people are utilizing it now, but if you want to know what it is, it's very hard to find. So it could be accessible through our metadata dashboard. The other one could be to identify, curate, and integrate metadata from legacy CERM projects completed prior to the establishment of the current data sharing protocols. The data sharing protocols were implemented with the I believe we started about a year and a half ago. So anything that came before then, we don't have a way to know where it is. So Rancho could be doing identification, curation, and integration of the metadata. We don't have to have it all, but we could then integrate into the current metadata dashboard. And finally, we could be developing an online version of institutional certification for data use limitations. Basically, we could improve the security measures for this form signing and integrating the data use limitation information into the metadata dashboard as additional metadata. So financially, the considerations for this, and this is why we are coming to the Governance Subcommittee. The initial contract that we signed with Rancho was $200,000, and additional tasks proposed would require a revised budget to up to $372,640 over a 24-month period. This represents an increase of $172,640 from the initial budget, primarily due to the complexities involved in integrating and curating the legacy data, as well as the development and deployment of additional functionalities within the metadata dashboards. The rationale for the budget increase is the integration, as I was saying, of the legacy data and the enhancement of the metadata dashboard, which we think are crucial for maximizing the value of past and ongoing research funded by CERM. And these enhancements will provide greater accessibility for data for researchers, facilitating more robust analysis and fostering advancements in regenerative medicine based on the funding that CERM has not only deployed from the 1.5 years ago, but to date. The conclusion here is the proposed budget adjustments reflect additional resources required to fulfill our mission. And the requested action could be that the team at CERM requests the subcommittee approval to augment the contract amount as indicated above, which is $172,640. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Rosa. This is something that we've been talking about for a while. Thank you for your very clear explanation. Does anyone have any questions for Rosa before we ask for a motion? Yes, George, and then Steve.
Just first of all, thank you, Rosa. I'm generally quite supportive of the idea of making legacy data available, but I have a quick question. Is none of this legacy data available in other databases already? So that this will be the first appearance of these data?
So the data, it is available. So about the 10% of the data from the Genomics Initiative, it's available through the, and Uta, I think Uta is there. It is available on a repository. The issue is that we don't have a way to say, okay, the Genomics Initiative, where did the data go? We don't have a place in our website that says that you have a database and says these experiments from the Genomics Initiative can be found here. That's not available. And then there is about 90% of the data from the Genomics Initiative that has been held in the servers of the institutions. And that's something that we could be, not all of it has to be available, but once we have the go-ahead, if we get the go-ahead, that this is something that the board and the Governance Committee are interested in, then we are going to start talking to the different PIs of the different PIs of the genomics hub that would be then making that data that's been in their own servers available. So 10% is at the genomics hub of the UCSC. That data is there. And but then the other data we would need to request. I hope that was clear with that.
Yes, thank you.
Steve?
So I'm in favor of this, but I have either one or a series of process questions, depending upon the answer to the first question, which is, was this particular item approved separately by this committee or by the board? Was there an original approval of the Rancho Biosciences arrangement as a standalone project?
As always, you always have the best questions, Stephen. Scott, can I go ahead, Scott, sorry.
Well, Steve, the reason it's coming to you now, the answer is no, it did not. It was because of our internal governance policy that the contract amount was below the threshold to bring to this committee. So it was signed through the processes internally. Because this amendment would increase the total contract amount past the threshold that would require the subcommittee's approval. When this happens, we come to the subcommittee for the augmented amount for approval. So the
However,
net amount is between 250 and 500. Above 500, we would take this to the full board, but between 250 and 5, it comes to this subcommittee.
All right, I got it. Actually, that sounds to me like a very cumbersome approval matrix, but nonetheless, it's the one that we have, I guess. So, all right, thank you for answering that first question.
Yeah.
Any other? Oh, Pat, yes, go ahead, please.
It says 24 months. 24 months from when? Because the contract is already, the $200,000 contract started already. They've already done work. So is
6
this
months.
additional dollars for whatever the end date is for the current contract, or is there an extension for 2 full years of work to do this?
So we started 6 months ago this phase of the data dashboard, and we already have a pilot that we are testing. It could be 18 more months.
Okay, and the deliverables are clear that they can do all this within that 18-month period of time?
Yes, they are quick, effective, and very thorough, and
Okay.
they are on time. Yes, we are very happy. Just as an FYI, well, yes.
Okay,
Thank you.
Okay.
thanks.
Okay, I don't see any other hands. In that case, is there a motion to approve the increase to this contract by the Governance
So
Subcommittee?
moved.
And I can
Second.
second. Yeah.
Okay, and no further discussion, then in that case, I'll ask Scott to call the roll, please.
Sure. Let me just first see if there's any public comment. I'm 99% sure there isn't, but I'll just confirm with Claudette.
Thank you, Scott.
There are no public comment.
Okay, great. Kim Barrett, Dan Bernal, George Blumenthal,
Yes.
Maria Bonneville,
Yes.
Joyce Sacchi,
Yes.
Anne-Marie Deliege,
Yes.
Elena Flowers,
Yes.
Judy Gasson,
Yes,
Vito Imbasciani,
you're on mute, Vito.
Oh, thank you. Sorry. Yes.
Hugh, Steve Julesgaard,
Yes,
Pat Levitt,
Yes,
Linda Malkus,
Yes.
Adriana Padilla. Great. Thanks very much, Judy. The motion carries.
Great. So we'll return to the agenda now. Item number 3, consideration of CERM compensation policy, and we have a presentation.
2 seconds, sharing out on the screen.
Thank you.
Can everyone see that?
Yes.
2 seconds. I can just actually see them on the screen. All right. Thank you very much. I'm going to go over a preview or a summary of the proposed compensation policy, as well as the moving and relocation policies. We always start off with our mission, which I won't repeat today. Like I said, first we're going to discuss the 2024 compensation policy and updated salary ranges, and then we'll move on to the proposed 2024 moving and relocation policy. Starting off with the 2024 comp policy, it's consistent with the 2015 compensation policy and market practices. The 2015 compensation policy was obviously approved by the ICOC. Just as a baseline, as set forth in Prop 14, the policy and the salary ranges are based on the compensation levels of medical schools within the CUC system and other nonprofit organizations who are qualified to appoint an executive officer to the ICOC. So we looked obviously at the UC system, medical system, as well as other nonprofits that again are permitted to appoint an executive officer. The policy is intended to clarify certain compensation practices and add rigor to checks and balances within the compensation system. Basically just a continuous improvement of what was approved in 2015. The one specific change that I want to highlight for the members of the committee here is that currently neither the chair, the vice chair, nor the president and CEO are eligible for cost of living increases. We are proposing in this policy that you do consider that. If approved, we would obviously grant COLA increases to these 3 people if approved by the ICOC. If you remember the board in 2022, you were presented with a market analysis that Morgan HR, an outside consultant, did for us. We use this as the basis of our analysis here. The HR team has done additional work, again, based on market analysis as well as research. What we are recommending specifically is that the salary ranges be adjusted to as presented to avoid salary compaction issues and to facilitate upward mobility. By salary compaction, we mean the compression of salary differential between employees at different levels and departments within the CIRM. The easiest way to sort of explain this, or the way I'm going to try and explain it, is if you are, for example, a director in a particular level, what we found was that the highest in certain instances, I'm giving you an illustrative example, that the highest salary for the director, but when compared to the next higher position, for example, a senior director, there were issues where the director was making more, if not substantially more than the senior director. So obviously those types of situations is something that we're trying to address, because again, in most cases, the senior position should have a greater range or a greater compensation. So we addressed that, or we attempted to address that in the salary ranges here. The other thing we tried to do is we added certain positions to permit career advancement. The rationale for that is, again, we feel that we've got a good group of people. We want to keep them as long as we can. We want to make sure that we do the best we can so they have a career opportunity here. Make sure that they continue to feel that CIRM is a place where that they have a long-term horizon, and that they are motivated to do so. For example, we did not used to have the position of senior project manager. So our project managers, which do a fair amount of work, who are very important to the day-to-day operations of CIRM, some of our project managers were reaching to the point where they did not have a natural step to go in their progression. Obviously, this could lead to morale issues and also attrition issues. So we've added certain positions, such as senior project managers, so that there is a more logical and direct progression for people who want to stay at CIRM at the same sort of level and don't necessarily want to change their roles. And then the last thing that we're recommending is that last year, the ICOC approved some cost of living increases. We have updated salary ranges as per the previous policy to accommodate for those cost of living adjustments. We are also presenting a proposed 3% cost of living adjustment as well to these new salaries, for not only for the rank and file, but again for the chair, vice chair, and president and CEO. And so the updated salary ranges there, which I'll show you in a second, include those cost of living adjustments for 22, as well as the proposed ones for 24. If they're not approved, we'll just adjust the salary ranges based on the 23 approvals. With that, any questions on the comp policy? Okay, hearing none. Sorry.
Raphael,
Yep.
Steve has his hand up.
Sorry, Steve.
Yeah, can you go to the appendix, please?
Sure.
There we go. Small print.
Yeah,
So
hold on, let me see if I can
your questions. So you talk about compaction issues, and then you address that by basically creating more senior positions. When you scroll down through this, you'll see, of course, we have the ranges from 1 to what is the upper 10?
Yes, sir. 10 level 10.
The more than 50% of the positions, if you were to do the numerical counting, are above 5 for 6 through 10 for this organization. So it's skewed towards the upper end of the median. And so you haven't created junior positions to deal with compaction. You've only created senior positions, if I understand that correctly, right?
I would look at it differently, Steve. We looked at both at actually all of the salaries, not just the senior. We did create some senior positions, but some of the compaction issues were within the levels themselves. And so they were adjusted within level 3, for example, or I'm just picking a number there, but within there, we looked within all the groups within that level 3 to make sure that the numbers made sense as well. So it's not just simply by adding senior positions. That's mostly probably more of a development move more so than anything else. We adjusted some of the salaries levels within the existing positions to address some of these compaction levels. So I just wanted to clarify that, Steve.
Okay. Then scroll to the top, please.
Sure.
All right, I want to look at the very upper column, which is colored yellow at the left, but then colored dark blue going forward.
Yep.
And I want to look at the positions starting with number 8. And at the top, it says Sir Max for levels 1 to 8. And then we have the 75th. So,
if I may, just as a reminder, in 22, when these were presented to the ICOC decided that for levels 1 through 8, the max should be at the 75th percentile. For levels 9 and 10, the max should be at the 65th percentile based on the analysis done by Morgan HR back then, Steve. Just a reminder.
Understood. So my question is, and I don't know if you have this analysis in front of you, is what percentage of our employees are being paid at the 75th? What percentage are being paid at the 65th? What percentage are being paid at the 50th? Just so we understand where our pay is at, generally speaking. You may not have those numbers in front of you. I will ask that question again when it comes before the ICOC. I just want to see a breakdown as percentage of employees of total employee population. What percent are at the 50th, at the 65th, and at the 75th, which are the 3 highlighted pay scales that we have here.
So I don't have that information, but we'll have it ready for the meeting.
Perfect. Thank you.
Other questions for Raphael at this point? Okay, and then Raphael, you wanted to go on to number 4?
Yeah, sorry. I'm just trying to make sure I get the right slide here. Everyone see that okay?
Hey, Judy,
Yes,
sorry,
Scott?
sorry to interrupt. I think for process reasons, due to conflicts that we want to control for in the comp policy, I'd recommend that we take a motion to approve these as separate items. So before, if there are no other questions for the comp policy, I would recommend that we just take entertain a motion to approve that separately and then proceed to the relocation.
Thank you, Scott. That sounds good. Again, any other questions for Raphael? And if not, may we have a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Thank you, George. Second?
Second, it's Pat.
Thank you, Pat. And Scott, keeping in mind any conflicts of interest, would you call the roll, please?
Sure, and let me just briefly check again for any public comment. I don't see any. Can you confirm that, Claudette?
No hands raised.
Great, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Kim Barrett, Dan Bernal, George Blumenthal,
Yes.
Joyce Sacchi,
Yes.
Anne-Marie Deliege,
Yes.
Elena Flowers,
Yes.
Judy Gasson,
Yes.
Steve Julesgaard,
For the purposes of this committee meeting, yes.
thank you, Pat Levitt,
Yes.
Linda Malkus.
Yes.
Great, thanks very much, Judy. That motion carries.
Thank you, Scott. And we'll go back to Raphael now for the moving and relocation policy, which is item number 4 on the agenda.
Thank you, Judy. In continuation of the agenda here, we're looking at the proposed moving and relocation policy. As a baseline, reimbursement of moving and relocation expenses is permitted by Proposition 14. The policy complies with the IRS rules and regulations regarding moving relocation expenses. Legal and finance conduct an analysis of the moving and relocation policies from the UC system as well as the other nonprofit organizations. And we feel that this policy is consistent with those and permits the flexibility to the ICOC as necessary. And then the last thing on the policy itself is that it's only applicable to level 9 and 10 employees. So it would be for executive officers and the three chair, vice chair, and president positions. That's it.
Thank you for that, Raphael. Any questions for Raphael at this time? Linda, do you have your hand up? Okay. I don't see any hands raised. At this point, we can request a motion to approve the moving and relocation policy.
I move.
Thank you, Anne Marie.
Second.
Thank you, Maria. And Scott, is there any public comment?
I don't see any. Claudette, do you see any?
No hands raised.
Great.
In that case, we can call the roll, please.
Kim Barrett, Dan Bernal, George Blumenthal,
Yes.
Maria Bonneville,
Yes.
Joyce Sacchi,
Yes.
Anne Marie Deliege,
Yes.
Elena Flowers,
Yes.
Judy Gasson,
Yes.
Vito Imbasciani.
Yes.
Thank you. Steve Julesgaard,
Yes.
Pat Levitt,
Yes.
Linda Malkus.
Yes.
Great. Thanks very much, Judy, and the motion carries.
Thank you, Scott.
Mhm.
That brings us to the conclusion of the items on the agenda, with the exception of any public comment on any matter discussed today or any other matter.
Hands raised.
No hands?
No,
Correct.
no hands.
Great. Any other, excuse me, members of the board have any items for discussion at this point in time? Seeing no hands raised, in that case, everyone gets 90 minutes of your morning back on this Monday. So
Thank you.
thank you to the
Bravo.
staff for the presentations. Thanks for the board members.